speaking of having interesting thoughts and journeys, our next guest, Brian Claypool, we're bringing on legal expert, does a lot of work with Fox, is an amazing, tremendous brain as it applies to all of these legal matters. Welcome you into the show, Brian. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great, LeVar. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Now, this is one of those topics where I had to bring in our big gun to talk about it. DeShaun Watson completed his deposition this past week. There were a lot of interesting questions left on the table after the conclusion of hearing some of the sound bites from his deposition. I would want to ask you, and I'm sure the fellas have questions for you as well. My first question to you would be all of the things surrounding where he's currently at. A lot of people are debating, is he in the clear? Is he not in the clear? Does the NFL have any grounds to suspend him or take action against him, disciplinary actions, where he currently is? And that would be maybe the quickest first out of the gate question for me.
Yeah, so there's two parts to that question. The first part is he out of the clear in terms of a criminal investigation and being prosecuted for alleged sexual assault, right? So we just heard the news, a week or two ago, hey, he hasn't been indicted, right? There were two grand juries in Texas that did not indict him. Then he signs this big, massive contract. But what nobody's talking about is that the statute of limitations in Texas to prosecute somebody for sexual assault is 10 years, dude. 10 years. What that means is there is still an opportunity, for example, if new evidence surfaces for state prosecutors in Texas to go back to another grand jury and present evidence for purposes of an indictment. So this is by no means closed. And that makes these civil cases even more important, right? Because he's got all these pending civil cases that he says, I'm going to fight, I'm not going to settle these. What if evidence is generated in any of those civil cases that might possibly implicate him in the criminal case? Then they can go back to the prosecutors and have another grand jury. So this has not ended. Criminal investigation is not closed.
Now, Brian, let me ask you this. If there was anything of that nature, excuse me, don't you think that would have come out by now? Like, this attorney is not leaving any stone unturned, so to speak. So if it was something that could come up later, don't you think it would be out there now?
That's a fantastic question. But what a lot of people don't understand with a grand jury investigation is it's in a room. You've got 12 individuals in the community. You need 9 grand jurors to vote yes to indict, right? But what people don't understand is that the prosecutor decides what evidence to put forward at a grand jury investigation. To your question, we don't know. We don't know whether the prosecutor brought in 20 victims and asked them whether they were sexually assaulted by DeShaun Watson. We don't know what witnesses were called in. We don't know whether there was any documentary evidence submitted. So to get to your question, there's a lot of uncertainty. We don't know what evidence was presented and if there is potentially any evidence still out there that might then trigger another grand jury investigation. Remember, grand jury investigations are cloaked in secrecy, and we don't know what happened. And that's what creates this unknown for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they are running a risk that something could happen down the road.
So in other words, if they confirm, my bad, Plex, but if they confirm something during these civil situations in terms of does he have to do any more depositions? Like, how does that work? Because if they were to confirm something that was used, or maybe they were holding off on using, and it gets confirmed in one of these depositions, then that's what you're saying. That and now it's like, oh, this is a clear way forward.
Yeah, exactly. So think about it. He's got I think 22 pending civil lawsuits. Conceivably, LeVar, DeShaun Watson could be deposed or have his deposition taken 22 different times. Because each civil case is different. So lawyers in each of those cases can take his deposition. If I'm representing DeShaun Watson, I'm resolving those cases, right? I know DeShaun's.
You're going to settle.
Absolutely, dude. I'm settling. If I'm representing DeShaun Watson, I'm wrapping up those civil cases. I know he wants to send a message. Hey, look, I read an article. Hey, I'm fighting all these cases. That's dangerous because he's got to sit down under oath. Just so your listeners know, deposition is when you sit down under oath and you're asked questions, and a deposition is like courtroom testimony. So you're not only setting yourself up for another potential grand jury investigation down the road, but you're also potentially setting yourself up for perjury. I'm not saying he's done anything wrong or he's going to commit perjury, but the risk of DeShaun Watson going through more civil depositions, in my opinion, outweighs the benefit of just settling these cases. And if he settles them, you guys should know this too. Anytime you settle a civil lawsuit, you have a clause in the settlement agreement that says no admission. I've not admitted any liability at all. I'm not liable for anything. I don't believe what this victim said, but I'm going to pay her some money. And what that does is that caps then any more commentary made by Watson that could potentially be used by a criminal prosecutor down the road.
Oh man. All right. I wish we had more time. I'm sorry I stepped on you, Plex. We're going to have to bring you back on. This is Brian Claypool. Make sure you check out Brian Claypool. He does excellent work. Check him out on social media. Where can they find you, Brian?
Yeah, it's Brian.Claypool on Instagram. I appreciate you guys having me back. Keep up the good work.
Absolutely. We appreciate having you, Clay. Wow. Fellas, it's like we need like 5 days a week to do this show. You're listening to Up On Game. I mean, the conversations keep on going. I don't, we gotta, I don't know. Anyway, DK Metcalf, what you got?